My mother looked me straight in the eyes during my father's funeral and whispered 4 words that changed my life forever. "You never belonged here." Then she smiled and walked away. At first, I thought grief had made her cruel. I was wrong, because 3 days later, she threw me out of the family home. And what she didn't know was that my father had left behind a secret so powerful, it would destroy everything she had spent 20 years building. My name is Sarah Mitchell, and this is the story of how my mother chose her golden child over me, then lost absolutely everything. Growing up, everyone knew Emily was Mom's favorite. If Emily got a B in school, Mom took her shopping. If I got straight A's, Mom asked why I wasn't taking harder classes. If Emily forgot her chores, Mom laughed. If I forgot mine, I got punished. For years, I convinced myself I was imagining it. But deep down, I knew the truth. My mother loved Emily. She tolerated me. The only person who treated me differently was my father, Robert Mitchell. He never missed my school events, never forgot my birthday, never made me feel unwanted. Sometimes I'd catch him looking at me with sadness in his eyes, like there was something he wanted to tell me, something important. But he never did. Then everything changed. One rainy night during my second year of college, my phone rang at 2 a.m. A truck driver had lost control on the highway. Several vehicles were involved. My father didn't survive. My entire world shattered. The funeral was held 4 days later. Hundreds of people attended. Business partners, friends, employees, people whose lives my father had helped change. Everyone was grieving, everyone except my mother. She didn't seem heartbroken. She seemed nervous, like she was waiting for something. And 3 days later, I found out why. She called a family meeting. A lawyer sat beside her. Relatives filled the living room. Then she dropped the bomb. "According to your father's will, everything goes to me and Emily." I stared at her. "What about me?" The lawyer looked uncomfortable. "There are no assets designated to Sarah Mitchell." I felt sick. My father would never do that. Never. Then came the second shock. "You'll need to move out by tomorrow." The room went silent. My father had been dead less than a week, and my mother was throwing me out. I looked around for support. Nobody spoke. Not even Emily. That hurt almost as much as my mother's betrayal. The next morning, I left with 2 suitcases and less than $400. I rented a tiny apartment, worked 2 jobs, and spent every night asking myself the same question. Why? Why would my father leave me with nothing? It didn't make sense. Then one afternoon, my phone rang. The caller introduced himself as David Keller, my father's attorney, and the moment he said his name, my life changed. "Sarah, I think we need to talk." The next day, I met him at his office. Without saying much, he handed me a sealed envelope. My name was written on the front, in my father's handwriting. My hand shook as I opened it. Inside was a letter. The first sentence nearly stopped my heart. "If you're reading this, the will presented after my death is not my real will." I read the line 3 times. Surely I misunderstood. But I hadn't. My father continued, "I would never leave you with nothing. If anyone says otherwise, they're lying. lying. There was only one person who benefited from that lie: my mother. David then showed me another document, a trust fund worth over $3 million, created years earlier. The beneficiary? Me. At that moment, I realized something. My mother hadn't just betrayed me. She had stolen from me. Before I tell you what happened next, I want your opinion. If your own mother threw you out just days after your father's funeral, what would you do? Let me know in the comments. Because what happened next shocked even me. David immediately challenged the will in court. And that's when my mother's perfect life started cracking. Investigators discovered hidden accounts, missing money, suspicious transfers. The deeper they looked, the uglier things became. Then, they uncovered something even worse. Medical records my mother had spent years hiding. When the court ordered them released, the truth finally came out. Linda Mitchell wasn't my biological mother. I felt like the ground disappeared beneath me. Everything suddenly made sense. The favoritism, the resentment, the coldness, the feeling that I never truly belonged. According to the records, my biological mother had died shortly after I was born. Years later, my father married Linda. She agreed to raise me, but she never truly accepted me. For more than 20 years, she treated me like a reminder of a life she wished never existed. The courtroom erupted when the records became public. Relatives who once defended her suddenly turned against her. But the biggest shock was still coming. A handwriting expert examined my father's will. The results were devastating. The signature had been forged. The will was fake. My mother had tried to steal everything. And for the first time, even Emily stopped defending her. In fact, Emily discovered something that shattered her own world. Our mother hadn't only lied to me, she had lied to her favorite daughter too. Money intended for Emily had disappeared into hidden accounts. Years of manipulation came crashing down overnight. Soon, Emily was sitting beside me in court instead of beside Mom, and Mom hated it. For the first time in her life, she was losing control. Weeks later, the final hearing arrived. The courtroom was packed. Reporters filled every seat. Family members who once ignored me suddenly wanted to know the truth. The judge reviewed months of evidence. Then came the decision. The forged will was declared invalid. My father's real estate plan would be enforced. The trust fund remained mine. The hidden assets were recovered, and my mother lost nearly everything. The mansion was sold. Bank accounts were frozen. Legal penalties piled up. Friends disappeared. Business associates vanished. The woman who spent her entire life protecting her image watched that image collapse in front of the entire world. And yet, I didn't celebrate. I didn't throw a party. I didn't laugh, because revenge wasn't what I wanted. I wanted the truth. And finally, I had it. Months later, I bought a small house using part of the trust my father had created for me. Nothing extravagant, just a peaceful place to start over. Emily and I slowly rebuilt our relationship. We couldn't change the past, but we could stop it from controlling our future. One afternoon, she asked me a question. "Do you hate Mom?" I thought about it for a long time. Then I shook my head. No. The answer surprised even me. I hated what she did. I hated the lies. I hated the pain she caused, but hatred would have given her power over the rest of my life, and I was finally done giving her that power. A year later, I received a letter from Linda. Inside, she admitted everything: the jealousy, the resentment, the regret. For the first time, she took responsibility for her actions. I placed the letter beside the last letter my father had written to me. One was filled with love, the other with consequences. Together, they taught me the most important lesson of my life. Karma isn't always immediate. Sometimes it takes years, sometimes decades. But eventually, the choices we make create the life we have to live. My mother spent 20 years choosing favoritism, secrets, manipulation, control. And one day, she found herself living with the consequences of those choices. My father spent his life choosing love, protection, and sacrifice. And even after his death, those choices continued protecting me. In the end, the daughter nobody wanted became the daughter her father never stopped fighting for. And the truth my mother spent decades trying to bury finally came to light. If you enjoyed this story and want more emotional family dramas, shocking secrets, and powerful karma endings, make sure to subscribe to Secrets Unwhispered. And tell me in the comments, did Linda deserve what happened to her? Or was karma too harsh? I'll see you in the next story.